Yeah, we left off Tes. We're on Daf Tes. Okay. The Gemara had said that Rav Nachman had said, Rav had said that we say Palgin Dibura, meaning that if a person goes and he brings, let's say, a get shichur, and it says the get shichur, all my assets belong to you, and the Eved, or the one who delivers it, he's only an Eid Echad. So the two things being said, he's emancipated because he's part of the assets, and the assets, which are a monetary document, are rightfully the slaves, because he said to them, all my assets are yours. However, the special leniency dispensation that an Eid Echad, whether he's not even valid, is believed, that's only by get Isha and Shtar Shechur. Tosas didn't ask, and Tosas asked the question on Daf Tes. We all asked. We say Mishum Aguna Kilo Barabona. So why we do it for the Eved? So Tosas asked the question on Daf Tes. We'll see what Tosas answers. Tosas says that not being a Jew is the equivalent of Aguna. Here he has an opportunity to be a Jew, because the moment he receives the get shichur, he's emancipated. So to validate it and to believe him, that's the equivalent of Aguna.
He is a Jew, as a slave.
No, he's not a Jew. Not a Jew. He's not forbidden to marry a Jewish woman.
No, but
He's obligated mitzvah skiisha. He has the same obligation as a woman, but he's not a Jew. He's not a Jew. He's as I once mentioned, there's a famous Reb Chaim shows his machlokes Rishonim. There's a question after a slave is emancipated, the tefillah, he has to have tefillah. Is that tefillah d'oraisa or is that tefillah d'rabanan? That's the question. So Reb Chaim explains the argument that factually, initially the slave, he needs milah and tefillah, exactly as a regular conversion. He needs kabbalos mitzvos. When he becomes slave, he has to accept, I agree to be a slave, whatever it is, which with the obligations of a slave, which is kabbalos mitzvos. So is that acceptance, you're really a full Jew, except you can't be a full Jew if you have a master. So the moment you're released from that mastership, you become a full Jew immediately. So one doesn't need tefillah. You already had the tefillah. The initial procedure was a full conversion, except it couldn't be completed because there was something which didn't allow it to fully encompass the person, engulf the person. Because there was a master. A Jew has one master. You don't have more than one master. Or it's pshat, no. The fact is, a slave is not a full Jew, except there's an impediment. So therefore, if that's the case, the tefillah is a tefillah d'oraisa. When he receives the get shichur, now he has to be tovel. That is the completion. It's not a drabanan, the tefillah. Okay? But everybody agrees, as being a slave, you're definitely not a Jew. You're either in the process of becoming a Jew, or you're only halfway there. And now you need another action to bring you the full distance, to be the full Jew. Okay? That we're going to have that. That's sort of machlos Reuven, but that's something else. That's something else. As a slave, he's permitted to any type of woman. As a free man, he's not. As a slave, he has truma, if he's the slave of a Kohen. As a free man, even if you're an employee of a Kohen, you lose many benefits. What do we say? But the ultimate benefit is to be a free man. So that's the question. Is it a schus or is it a chov? Okay.
Once he's emancipated, he is considered a Jew.
That's what I'm explaining to you.
But
Once he's emancipated, it's machlokes Rishonim, is he immediately a full Jew, or he's not a full Jew? That will be determined whether the tefillah is d'oraisa or d'rabanan. If tefillah is d'oraisa, that means he's not a full Jew, even after emancipation. Now he's ready to finish the process. Right? And tefillah. Correct. The master must circumcise him. To be an Eved cannot. But you cannot become it. You can't. No, not only you can't become a slave. You can't become an Eved Kanani. You cannot own in body and soul unless you have Mila and Tefillah. Okay?
So those who say that it's the Rabbanon, doesn't that mean that he was a Jew from day one?
It means, that's what I said. The procedure is a procedure of conversion, except it doesn't allow, there's something which doesn't allow it to fully bring about the transition because there's a master. Hashem says, I'm the master. A human being who has a master cannot become a Jew. But it's progress. It's work in progress. It's happening.
How does that reconcile a Jew becoming an Eved Ivri?
Because once you're a Jew, you cannot. That's why it's a Torah violation. It's a Torah violation. A Jew selling himself into slavery. That's a Torah violation.
Even for the violations like robbery and so forth?
It's a situation because there's no other way the Torah says, but the man did the wrong thing by stealing.
Yes, but the consequence.
Because that's the Torah says, since there's no other way to compensate the victim, therefore we allow that. But is he compromising? Once you're a Jew, you cannot become a non-Jew. A Jew, let's say a person converts to become a Jew, then he becomes an apostate. The Gemara says in Kedushin, Yisrael api shechoti Yisraelu. A Jew, regardless of how severe, how extreme the sin is, he's still a Jew. You can't renounce your Judaism.
So what I'm arguing is...
Not what you're arguing, what you don't understand.
I'm making an argument that the Jew who becomes an Eved Ivri, he now has a master, but it doesn't interfere with...
But I'm explaining why.
With
Because you are the Jew already. You are a Jew.
No, I understand.
It's like a Jew. What about a Jew becomes a pagan?
But you see that these two cannot coexist.
No, you don't see that. Once you're a Jew, you're there. Right.
He's got two masters now.
So he's not in a good situation, but he's still a Jew. It doesn't change it. Once you're a Jew, you're always a Jew.
So it can't...
No, here it's to become a Jew. This is the process that's going to make you a Jew. There's something interfering. Doesn't allow it to fully evolve to become the full Jew. The process is being interfered with. But the moment you remove the impediment, it overtakes the person fully. If the master chooses to free him.
Right. So there's a condition.
It's not a condition. Not a condition. It's not a condition. It's just a reality.
He understands, so it's a reality.
I agree to be Evet Kanani, whatever that means. Whatever Evet Kanani. He doesn't even know what it means. I agree to be Evet Kanani. It entails obligations. I agree to be that.
So he understands that there are obligations.
Definitely, that he understands.
And he understands he has to have a first film.
Everything. Well, he's being circumcised.
So why bother stopping at Tefillah? Why go through any of that if there's an impediment?
Because the Torah says you can't become an Evet Kanani. A person cannot own a person as a chattel unless you undergo this process. You can't own a person. A human being, you cannot own a human being unless you undergo that process.
So the Torah
Prescribes this.
prescribes
The procedure fully. So you have the question.
It doesn't say Tefillah.
It does say, Mila Tefillah. An Evet Kanani can only become an Evet Kanani if he's circumcised and goes to the mikveh.
So I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question. Is there a Tefillah after he
And after he needs another Tefillah. So that's the question. No another times. But Tefillah he needs.
After he's freed.
After he's freed, he needs another
And if he
Tefillah.
doesn't do the tefillah, what happens?
So that's the question. That's the question. Is he a full Jew?
Or is he,
It's only rabbinical, or he's still an Evet Kanani. He's an Evet Kanani without a master, and if he should undergo that, he becomes a full Jew immediately.
But he can't be free and just become a regular non-Jew again.
No, definitely not. That's definitely
done.
not. Once you're here, it's only forward. It's not backwards. Right.
So Rabbi, let me ask you, a big topic of, it might sound like a strange question, but transgender. So this woman wants to be, she becomes a man. Under the halakha, she remains a woman, even though she is in every way a man now, apparently. Or vice versa. A man wants to become a woman.
Okay. What?
Halakhically, the status hasn't changed.
Some people don't have to become dogs because they are dogs.
No, I just,
Okay.
there's no way to change that.
Of course not. Of course not. I mean, the Torah speaks. The Gemara speaks about an androgynous person. right? It's either one or the other. It's not. We don't know.
You can't tell.
No, he has both signs.
Oh, he has both sides.
That's androgynous. He has both signs. Okay, good. We can't make that determination. Okay? Okay, so now, the person says, so the person brings his get, and it says in the get shichur, in the writ of emancipation, all my assets, and we know he's the slave of this master, are transferred to you. So all means, including himself. He's a free man, and if you're a free man, you're your own master, plus all the assets of the master are also being transferred. Every document has to be certified, has to be substantiated. So he says, "B'fonei nechta, b'fonei nechtam." So he's actually validating the document. So the question is, do we believe him or don't we believe him? Because regarding any monetary document, an Eid Echad is not believed. Right? That you need two witnesses. There's no reason. There's no special dispensation. For himself, there is a special dispensation. But since his being emancipated was included within the terminology, all my assets, so do you believe his statement regarding himself and not regarding the others? So do you divide the statement? That's Palgin Dibura. So Rav Nachman says we do. We say Palgin Dibura. I mean, he's freed, the assets remain in the domain of the original master. Because for that, you need two witnesses to certify the document. That's been the discussion. That's what Rav Nachman had said. So Mar asked Rav Nachman, and the Mar says, who's that going like? It's going like Reb Shimon. So Mar says, but factually, we rule like Reb Meir. Fourth line. For Omer Rav Nachman, Omer Rav Yosef, and you know Omer Rav Nachman, Api Shekilish Rav Yossi is Rav Shimon. Although Rav Yossi was a Tana, he praised and extolled Reb Shimon for his understanding, his position of Palgin Dibura. He said, Halacha Reb Meir. We rule like a Reb Meir. So how could Rav Nachman say that we rule, say, Palgin Dibura? Testament Aleph, fifth line.
9A1.
That we rule like Reb Shimon. Rav Nachman himself said that Reb Yossi had said that we rule like Reb Meir, despite how special and how insightful the position of Reb Shimon is, the Tanya. Shnei Dvarim Lefnei Reb Yossi. When Reb Shimon's position was stated before Reb Yossi, Korolav HaMikra Zeh Svasayim Yishak Meishiv Dvarim Nechochim. Pasuk Mishlei. Svasayim Yishak. So Rashi and Tosas learn differently. Rashi learns, lips who speak such pearls of wisdom deserve to be kissed. That's the way Rashi learns. Tosas says, when they say silence is golden, what silence? In the vernacular, when you keep your mouth shut, right? You keep quiet. That means your lips are sealed. So what's the indication of great wisdom when people keep quiet? That's Vasayim Yishak, when the lips sealed, when there's Dvarim Nechochim, which is uncontestable, it's absolute truth, no one has anything to say. Okay, that's the way Tosas explains it.
But the Rebbe's position is a blanket position?
Well, we'll see. The Gemara is going to say that's not what it means. Remeir, the Machlokes Remeir is something else. It has to do with Krus Gita. Has nothing to do with Palgin Dibura. It was a misunderstanding. The Gemara is going to explain. Remeir is a whole different concept. Why Remeir says the get is not a get. We'll see in a moment. No. When Rabbi Yossi said we rule like Remeir, it's not regarding Palginon. It's regarding something else. Samara says, Umiyah Rav Nachman Hochi, Vomer Rav Yossi, Bar Minyumi Omer Rav Nachman. Did Rav Nachman say that we rule like Rav Meir, that we have a contradiction in what? In Rav Nachman? What's the case? Shchiv Meira. Now that's interesting. Shchiv Meir shekosav kol nechosav la'avdo. A person's on his deathbed. Now, if a person is a healthy person, he gives something to someone. And then if the person takes the gift, takes possession of the gift, then he has a change of mind. It's irrelevant what you had to change your mind. Since it was unconditional transfer, it belongs to the one he transferred. What about a person's on his deathbed? And he gives a gift, and he doesn't say conditionally. He doesn't say it's conditional. And he transfers to the recipient, the one who he wants it to be, and then the person recovers.
Take it back.
The halach is, because it's clear, Chazal said, it's clear, although he didn't verbalize the condition, but it's only if he should pass away. If he doesn't pass away, everything reverts back to the original owner. So let's say we have Shchimer Shegoza Kol Nechosav Lavdo. He was on his deathbed, he says, dedicated slave, I'm transferring everything to my Evet Kanani, V'omad, and then he recovered. The master recovered. Chozeh b'nechosim, v'nechozeh b'evet. He's able to retract on his assets, but the Evet not. The Evet is freed. Why? Chozeh b'nechosim, why does he have a right to retract on the assets? Ma'ana shchimerehu, because that's the gift of a shchimera. Although he didn't verbalize the condition, everything reverts back when he recovers. Why can he retract this? Why is the slave freed, emancipated? Because since, until he recovered, it was known in the public that he was a free man. Once he's known as a free man, we don't retract. We don't retract. He continues to be a free man. 1 second.
So are we saying that in this, the understanding that you need the Raisa, both happen, that he's lost he's given away everything, but that the Chazal
We'll have to see. It's not simple.
overturn it,
It's not simple. No. It's not simple.
because then how can the one hold and the other? So what difference does it make what people think?
Okay?
Either the transaction stands or it doesn't.
Okay, David asked questions, we'll have to do Tosis. Tosis asked this question. Tosis asked you a question. As the lines get wider, it's the second Tosis as they go. If we say he only gave it within the context because he believed he wasn't going to recover, why should it be a free man? Not we say he's permitted to a regular Jewish woman. He's even asking a better question. Even a better question. When does it transfer? When he dies. Normally, let's say a person would gift something. Person's healthy. He says, I gift you this when I die. Is it a valid? No, never. He's done his deathbed. Is it a valid gift?
I'm saying no.
Why not?
Because when he dies, it goes automatically to his heirs.
Terrific. So over here, how does he free the slave? When does it take effect? The moment he dies. It doesn't take effect before he dies. So, but after he dies, you can't emancipate the slave any longer. So how is he a free man, and we treat it as Madish Chimira, and get Lachamiso? The get cannot be effective after he passes away, because Madish Chimira only is effective after he passes away. It's not a moment before he passes away. It's Hefker Bez and Hefker. Yeshloma b'dekosav le'me'ayom. So this is a dochik. He said, when he said about the Shchimera, he says, from today. It's retroactive. When I die, the moment he dies, it's retroactive from the moment he said it. But without from today, it's not going to be. Well, that's one answer. 1 second. Let's read the words. B'dekosla me'ayom, inami, another possibility, afilu stoma, even if he didn't say anything specific. Kevan the dashchimira l'shachro, since factually the person wanted to free him, datu shikne b'sho sharuya l'shachre. So in what context could he be freed? Only if it takes effect the moment before he dies. Assets, which is hefker bez nefker, could happen afterwards. But emancipation, it's only if he frees him. That means it has to be his slave. Therefore, he has in mind that whatever is going to make it work, that's what I want it to take effect. Even if it didn't. So the assets could take effect after he dies. But the slave, which cannot be freed unless he's freed the moment before he dies, actually, it's, even though he didn't verbalize that, the presumption is that was his thought process. Dainu Michayiv. Wait. Now we're going to ask David's question. Okay? First, we're contending with the issue. If it takes effect after he dies, it's not valid. The answer is either he said specifically retroactive, or his mindset is whatever with whatever context it could take place. That's the way. So therefore, it has to take place a moment before he dies. But now we ask this is the bonus question. I'm only giving it away because I believe I'm not going to recover. But if I'm going to recover, I don't want to give it away. It's like a person conditionally emancipates a slave. If I die, let him be free. How is it going to be effective the moment before I die? But if I recover, of course I'm not giving it away. That's the mindset. So why do we say? Because it was, as a man on his deathbed, he wanted to free him, therefore even if he should recover, he's free. Why? But it's clear his mindset was only if I die. So why was? Because it was known he was an Eved, that's sufficient reason to allow it to continue. Why? That's Tos's question. V'yishlomar, shakol takanos chacham. Everything we're discussing here is purely a rabbinic enactment. Chazal. Gam ma shechoz b'nechosim, gam ma she'eino chozer be'eved. Even regarding the assets, whatever it is, because we understand the predicament, maybe it's not sufficient. In fact, it's not the equivalent of a conditional gift. So even if he recovers, he gave it away, since you did not specify, you should lose it all. But since Chazal know the only reason why he had said what he said was because of his physical predicament, therefore they say when he recovers, it reverts back to him. So they're dictating here. Regarding the slave, they say because he was seen as a ben chorin, as a free man, once that's seen, we don't want to retract that. Because how does a free man, all of a sudden now he's going to conduct himself like a slave? One second. This is like kol mekadosh hadas chacham mekadosh. Meaning his mindset is whatever the chachamim want. If they want him to be a free man, I'm agreement he should be a free man. Whatever they want, that is my mindset. Me im kosebed, but he says a chidush. Im kosebed jumi ayom im yomos. Let's see in his deathbed he says, if from the day when I die, retroactively it should be. And if I don't die, I don't want it to be. So there it's like a person is saying something I don't want. It should be as the Chacham would want it to be. It's not sufficient. He will not be emancipated. Even regarding the slave.
There it's clear though.
No, you'd say no. Maybe. Chazal said, once he's seen and understood as to be a free man, we don't. Chazal, they immediately take control and they free the man.
Right, but
it's like a hefker bez and hefker,
Put
maybe.
on conditions that really specify exactly so that there's
Chazal could override anything.
right, but
Kol Mekadosh Tait Rabbonim Mekadosh. We just had it in Daf Yomi and Gemara Ksubis, a number of places. What about if the man says it's irrelevant what the Chachamim say? It's irrelevant. We still say hefker bez and hefker, right? They will cause the money that was given to be considered not his, and she's not married. I think Gemara even goes further than that. What about if he's Mekadosh with Bia? They're able to intervene and invalidate the act that it's not an act of marriage, if they choose to do so. So I'd say the same thing even regarding freeing the slave.
right.
Sheep Meira gives away the field, and then the guy sells it. Now the Sheep Meira recovers. You take back the field without
Right.
stating
It's like
sale.
it's like I sell a field conditionally to buyer A, and the buyer A doesn't meet the condition, and he sells it to buyer B.
The buyer is in good faith.
It's not the good faith. It doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't it have, what I'm getting at is, the coal that goes out about the slave is also a coal that goes out, that his property was given to...
But there's a difference whether you call it a free man or it's called Ruvain's field or Shimon's field. One is your status as a Jew. Once you're seen as a Jew, we don't want that to be changed.
Well, doesn't it become a Jew? No, it's seen as
It's like
he's free.
it's a conditional Jew. It's conditional. It's conditional. It's conditional. What about if a person frees his slave? He says, if you do this, you are free, a free man. If not, not.
Right. But
And he
when
doesn't do it.
the Shuvah did this, he didn't say, if he said conditional, fine. But if he said, I'm freeing him because he was on his deathbed.
He's
now
free.
he's a Jew.
No,
Well, now how do you
no, but we
take
said
it back?
when does that take effect? It's the moment before he died. He never died. That's what Tosa says.
Right.
It's the moment before he dies, not after he dies. After he dies, it's too late already.
But the moment, if he said it, let's say he's going to...
Did he recover? Didn't he recover? If he didn't recover, he was freed the moment before he dies. If he did recover, that means he never died. So he was never freed.
If he said that,
He doesn't have to say it. That's fact. That's what Chazal say. It takes effect the moment before he dies. So he never died.
Rabbi, let me ask a technical question about the difference between marriage to a woman and Eved Knani. So we said that although the Chazal have the power to annul a marriage, so a man doesn't want to give a woman a divorce. They can annul the marriage and free the woman, but they don't do this. Okay, the man has to give the get, and the whole procedure about beating him and his will and so forth is the same true with an Eved Knani. A man does not want to sell his slave. Can they force him?
It's a Mishnah.
Or is it... Or
You
is
have a situation, a person is Chatzi Eved, Chatzi Ben Chori. Two masters, one emancipates, the other doesn't. So he's a half slave, half free man. So the Gemara says, the Mishnah, Machlokes B'Sham B'Silo. He can't marry a regular Jewess because he half him slave. He can't marry a slave woman because he's a Jew. So what happens? He has an obligation to procreate. So it says, Kofin is Rabbo. They actually compel the master to free him, and then he writes a document, a financial document, to say whatever his value was, he has to eventually repay, compensate the master who was forced to free him.
So they force it.
There they force it.
They force it. And what do they beat him?
If they have to beat him, they're going to beat him.
It's the same as the man who...
Same thing, same thing.
They beat him. But the difference...
Kofid really means compel. Even with the get, they don't have to beat him, but if they have to physically assault him...
So the reason I ask the question is because we say the Bet Din have the power to appropriate property. That's in their power. The man owns this person. Now they can interfere with that ownership.
Yeah, but that's not sufficient to make him free. That's not sufficient to make him
free. If the master no longer owns this man, does that not sever? Because a man doesn't own his wife.
Let's see.
They can't do it that way.
There's not. What about a person disowns a slave? Disowns him. He's mafkir him. Is he a free man? It's an argument. It's an argument, Shmuel and everyone else. Because there are two aspects. There's the monetary aspect and there's the status aspect. Even though I disown you, but factually you're still a slave. Right? Really, it plays into what we discussed before. If you say the only thing which really the original conversion is a full conversion. Except being the master, that's the impediment. So therefore, according to Shmuel, once you disown him, you don't have the impediment anyway. So it naturally he becomes a full Jew. The others say, no, that's not what it's about. Initially, convert to become an Eved Kanani it's not because there's an impediment. Because you have to be converted to be a Jew. And since the original tefillah was not to be a Jew, it was to be a slave, that's not a proper conversion. Therefore, once he's freed, now he has to undergo the proper conversion, which is tefillah. That's the way they explain the Machlokes of Shmuel and the others, whether disowning a slave is sufficient for him to assume the status of a full Jew. No, he's the first one. He has first rights because he takes possession of himself. Correct.
So when they authorize that the freeing of the slave stands, but the assets, that transaction does not stand. So what are they doing from a monetary point of view?
Two things. The assets revert back to the original owner. The slave...
Because of their power to say... They say it originally worked.
But they didn't have to... Because we say the person who's on his deathbed is agreeable to act within the context that the Chacham say he should act. Meaning, if they say release it, they'll release it. We only say release it if you die. If you're not going to die, we're more than happy that you should retain. But regarding the slave, because it was known to the public that he was a free man, that we prefer he should be free, remain free.
And if this man...
That's why Tosa says, if you write specifically, regardless, I don't want to free him, even he remains a slave. He will not be freed.
But if the man genuinely is pleased to get his assets back when he recovers, and he's genuinely upset that he lost his slave...
But he has to... So he had to verbalize. He had to write that.
He said the same...
No. It's not enough. It's not enough. Right? Okay.
If he's saying that a minute before he dies, the slave becomes free.
Well, it's not. He's not saying it. But factually, he said it. He already said, I want him to be a free man. That's sufficient. A moment before he dies. Okay, let's see over here. The Gemara says, So we see over the Gemara asks, how could Rav Nachman say that Rabbi Yossi had said we rule like Rav Meir, that we don't say Palgin Dibura? We said by Shchimera that we do say Palgin Dibura, because what he said is, all my assets should be yours, and yet we say he's freed and the assets revert back. So it was one statement, and yet we're splitting the statement. So we see we do rule Palgin Dibura. So how do we reconcile the cases? Elam Ravashi, Hosam Hainu Time, Misham Dlav Kruskito. It's a whole different concept. We'll have to do Rashi on this. When the Torah says you divorce a wife, what is the writ of termination? What's it called? Sefer Krisus. It severs. It's a full severing. That means it has to be seen that it's unquestioned what the person's predicament is. We'll see Rashi. Kruskito. That the Rav Nachman said we rule like Rav Meir, it's not because we don't split a statement. Kinami hiskir sham shir karka ploni like a plukto. The dibura koma Rav Meir the yotza cherus. We had a case before. A person says all my assets should be yours except 2%. 2%. We have a question. Does the 2% refer to him, or does the 2% refer to a piece of property? So it's unclear. The Torah says when you emancipate a slave, it has to be clear exactly that the relationship is terminated. But since it's questionable, when they said 2%, it may apply to the slave. That already blurs it, and Torah says if there's any question regarding termination, it's not a valid termination. The Gabi Isha, what does it say? Now, what is Kruskita? The termination of the get. How do we know that Evet Kanani has the identical obligation as a woman in terms of mitzvos? Because now there's a halacha. What's the halacha? Chatzi Evet, Chatzi Ben Chorim. The case we discussed, two masters own a slave. One emancipates him, the other one did not. So he's half Jew, full Jew, half slave. Now the master who owns him as a slave gives him a wife. Shifcha Kananis. Well, it's not a Shifcha Kananis. A regular Jewish woman. He's not permitted to be with, but he says, Harei Mukadeshesli. So she's a married woman. She is married. Right, she's married. But who's she married to? She's married to a person who's a half slave. It's not a full Jew. Half of him is a full Jew. Let's say she would commit adultery. Or the other way. Okay? Is she considered, even though it is an act, does it have all the consequent ramifications of adultery? It doesn't. Because she's not married, the human being she's married to is not totally a Jew. Okay? It says, Chub shelo nitamo. Since her freedom was not given to her, or the other way. The Evet Ivri is given, the other way, is given a Chatzi Shiv Chatzi Baschorim. A master is permitted to give his Evet Ivri a slave woman, right, for breeding. Let's say the woman he gives her is half full Jew, half slave. Correct? So what does he do? So when he marries, he's marrying, it's a valid marriage to half of her. She says, Neishis Ish. Let's say this woman now commits adultery. Is she put to death? Or the man? The answer is no. So the Torah says, since she was not fully freed, emancipated, although half of her is a free woman, that act of adultery does not carry the death penalty. She gets malkos, he has to bring whatever, he has to bring a korban. So it says, Chub shelo nitan lo. Her freedom was not given to her. So it says law, and it says by get krisus, it says kosav lo sefer krisus. So we have a gzera shava. Lo mi isha, just as it says by shifcha kananis. Half, it says law, and it says law regarding the divorcing of a woman. First we learn out that all the mitzvahs that apply to a woman apply to an Evet Kanani. In addition, just as the woman, when you divorce her, it has to be with absolute clear that it's a divorce. It cannot be ambiguous. Is she not? Therefore, just as over there by a get, Isha, it's not valid. Emancipation of the slave is not valid. Let's see it inside. The Chub shelo nitan lo, uchsiv kosev lo, bi'inon bu krisus. You need full termination, full severing. The since it's a person could say maybe when he said 2% or 1% or a fraction percent I should be able to retain, maybe referring to the slave. Vulo huskar b'toch matono lo kosev le'atzmoch u'nechosai k'nuim. He didn't say you have a right to be independent and my assets. Lav krisus gomerus. It's not absolutely clear. Aval hechod lo sher ki hocho. But in our situation, he didn't leave him out. He validated his part by saying what? He's believed that he's certified, he validated the document. The other half of the document has been validated, right? But there's no question on who he is, right? The master definitely wants to emancipate this man. So if you say Palgin Dibura, it's not a problem. The other half, we can't transfer the assets because to validate the document, you need two witnesses. But for himself, it's clear the master doesn't want to free him. So if he wants to free him, it's not a problem. There's no question in terms of the severance of relationship. To be considered.